welcome to Breaking Down the Barriers. My name is Fitz Houston, actor, instructor, and coach, and we're going to be going through a number of elements, I should say, in the acting business. Today we're going to be focusing on 25 things that will make or break an audition. Now that's one of the things that some people get really upset about. Sometimes they get angst about, they get anxiety, stressed out. Hey, auditions are supposed to be fun because you're working so hard to get an audition. When you get there, you shouldn't be about to have a heart attack or a stress attack because you're finally getting to show what you can do to a particular casting director or producer or director to get you cast in a project. So we're going to go through things that you have control of. See, once you do the audition, everything's out of your control. It's now up to the casting director, producer, who's matching who looks like who, do you look too much like the star, things that have nothing to do with you, which determines whether or not you get cast or not. What we're talking about in this episode are all the things that you have control of in an audition that can actually work against you. So I'm going to list those 25 things, and then you work on not doing them so that when you go through those doors to an audition, you're the best you can be that day, and who knows, you do well enough, you will get cast. Okay, let's look at number one. Now I'm going to start with something. Now those of you who already know this stuff, this is 25 things that sometimes is for self-check. If you already know all this stuff, I'm not talking to you. If you don't know this stuff, then take note, because it does make a difference to have that edge when you go into the audition. Okay, number one. Avoid inferior headshots such as snapshots or poor quality copies of a picture of a headshot. There are enough, if you cannot afford the money to get a high quality shot at a photo place. A lot of the copier places now have high quality copy machines with quality photo paper. And so you want to get your picture as best you can. If you have in the old days we had Polaroid, but if you have like a snapshot or a faded copy of a headshot, that may not even get looked at. They'll say, well, this person's not even serious. Look at the quality of the headshot. Why am I going to consider somebody for a role when they're not even serious about their craft? So those type of pictures won't even get you called in for the audition because your picture is working against you. So pictures are very expensive. They can be very expensive. So until you can get that kind of money, just take your time, find a photographer that's in your price range, or if you have a friend that's really good in photography and knows backgrounds, because headshots are an art by itself. It has to catch you, your energy. It can't be just a nice picture with you smiling. It has to capture an energy in your eyes, because when they put those pictures next to other pictures, 50 or 100 pictures, the pictures that stand out are the ones they pick because there's something about that person they want to know more than just a picture. I want to meet that person, and that is usually said through the eyes of just the picture before they even meet you. So that's why that's important. Number two, when you're putting your resume together, now don't lie on your resume. Now of course those of you who have credits and have been in the business for quite a while, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about this usually is a problem when people are paranoid that they do not have enough credits. So what they'll do is make up some credits that they'd like to have. Now, what's the danger of that? Yes, that's right. The casting director may know one of the credits you're talking about and say, I don't remember casting you, especially if they were the casting director, let alone if they actually know the project you're talking about and didn't see you in it, or they were the casting director for it and know they didn't cast you. When you do things like that, not only does that not get you cast in that session, but word of mouth in Hollywood is very, very wide range. So if you do something bad enough times, your reputation will precede you, and it's the wrong reputation you want to be preceding you. You want to have a good reputation preceding you in terms of people looking forward to you, not going, oh, here comes that liar again, wonder what they lying about now. No, don't even want that, don't even enter that into your mind. So if you don't have a lot of credits, get as many student projects, educational films, short films, get as much of those as you can on the resume. Get as many classes and workshops. See, if you don't have a lot of credits, all the casting director needs to know that you're really working on your craft. How do you work on your craft? You're either doing plays, short films, student projects, and in some of the student projects, some of the master programs in particular, these are future directors of tomorrow. So don't take that lightly. Oh, that's just a college student film. No, if it's a future Spielberg, you want to look at that project. So these are different ways of types of things to put on your resume if you do not have a lot of credits to start out. And that's why it's better to do that than lie about other projects that you would like to have and wish you had, and you lied about it and put it on your resume. So those that's that number 2. Number 3. Now these are things when you're at the audition before you go in. The biggest thing is, please staple your picture and resumes before you get there. A lot of casting directors are making a note of people who come up to the secretary at the casting office to ask, can they use their stapler to staple your picture and resume. They didn't pay money for you to have your resume stapled. That's staff equipment. Now you call it, well, it's only a stapler. No, what it's telling them is this actor prepared. They're coming to use my equipment to staple their picture and resume, which is something they should already have done either at home, in the car, anywhere other than using mine at the audition. Now, if they don't have a problem with that, there are some casting directors that actually, next to the sign-in, put a stapler. Now, obviously, if the stapler is right next to the sign-in sheet, they're saying, hey, you don't have a stapler? There it is. So that changes from audition to audition. Some people have a problem with it, some don't. You have to play it by ear. And as an actor, you got to get used to playing it by ear. Next, don't chit-chat before an audition. You're sitting there getting ready to go in, and you're getting your mood ready and your preparation. And here comes a friend you hadn't seen in months or years or whatever. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you, man. Yeah, really good to see you. And then you proceed to talk all the way up until time to go in. No. You do not want a distraction before your audition. Now, if that person is somebody you truly want to talk to, you say, it's good to see you, man. It's really good to see you. You know what? Let me talk to you when we finish. When we finish, you're even having respect for them. Sometimes your friend who's talking to you, they already see you there prepping when they come in the room. They know you're prepping, yet they'll continue to talk. So if they don't respect you enough to say, okay, man, I'm sorry, I'm seeing you study, we'll talk later. If they don't respect that, you take charge and say, yo, you know what, I'd like to talk to you more, but I'm about to go in, so we'll talk after. Now, you've just taken control and told your friend, I want to talk to you, but now is not the time. I'm prepping for my audition. I'll talk to you in a minute. That needs to be respected, because I actually had this happen one time when the chat of these two guys was so disruptive. I had to get up and leave the room and go into the hallway to go over this line, because based on the script, it looked like a pretty intense opening of a scene, which means you need to prep to get that kind of emotional upset ready at the top of a scene. So when I went into the audition, the guy said, okay, what I want you to do is start with tears. I really need you to be really upset and tearful. And you know what? And because I had been really prepping, the tears came without a problem. Now, as I'm finishing, I'm going out the door listening to these guys still joking and laughing about the good old days in college, knowing they're about to be next. And I said, you know what? If they can break that mood of joking and laughing, walk in that audition and start crying at the drop of a hat, hey, they bad. I'm going to give them Michael Jackson. They bad. You know what? I'm going to give them the award. But usually that doesn't happen. You take the time to prep yourself, to get yourself in the mood so that you are ready to walk in there and deliver whatever it is they ask you. Sometimes the script gives you a hint. Sometimes you don't know, because you don't exactly know how the director or casting director is going to want to direct your performance. You can go by the sides, which gives you a little idea, but sometimes you get a complete shock. Like I had no idea with this particular side that it started out with a tearful opening. That's what the director had wanted. It was a callback. So that's why you want to make sure your preparations are not disturbed. Let's go next, number 5. Sign in when you're ready to go and not before. So what I mean by that is, when you get to the audition, don't don't race to put your name down like you want to get your name at the top, as far as the top of the sheet as possible. Now, That's okay if you're ready to go in as soon as possible and you feel like you're all prepared and ready to go in there and do your thing. Well, by all means do that. But if you are running a little late, you're a little frazzled, you know what, take the time to you know what, let me go through these sides. Because see, for example, if you get there and you're not ready, you don't have to sign in when you get there. Grab the sides, look them over, person comes in, calls the next person up. You're not ready yet as far as you're concerned, so whoever's on the sheet next is going next. Don't worry about if you're not next. Now, if it's a problem you've got, well, you have to be next. Your performance may suffer. Now, if they're on a time crunch and you're running late, now they may be getting ready to go to lunch. You've got to get yourself together as soon as possible to go into that audition. But in a normal circumstance, if you get there on time, and you do not have to sign in as soon as you get there. When you feel like you've gone to the script and gotten yourself familiar with the sides, then sign your name and continue studying. You call you in, go in, knock it out. Okay? Number 6. This goes hand in hand with what I just said. Settle down, cool off, and relax before you start the audition. Again, like I just said about the sign-in, sometimes as it's growing more and more in Hollywood especially, some of the locations of the auditions have you doing a minor hiking trip to get to the CD office. You might be walking on a hot day a half mile from the parking lot to get to the casting office in some of these studios. By the time you get to the space, you're burning up, you're sweating, you're out of breath, whatever it is, you're not ready to just walk right into calmly doing the audition. You don't have, again, do not have to sign in as soon as you get there. Take your time to cool off, go to the restroom, dry off, go, if you find an air vent somewhere, cool off, do whatever it is you need to get yourself ready. Okay, I feel good now. I feel good. I'm ready to go. Then, now, sign in. Again, those go hand in hand. You do not sign in, one, if you're not ready to go in, look at the script more, or don't sign in if you're sitting there panting, about to pass out, dripping with sweat as well. Both of those go hand in hand. Okay, number 7, be familiar with your sides. Now, nowadays they're putting the sides online for you to get the sides before you get there. Sometimes the sides are late and you don't get the sides until you get to the audition. Now, these are all 3 go hand in hand. If you have not had a chance to download the sides before you get there, then you take the time, get the sides, don't sign in yet unless you have to. Study the sides, feel good about them, now sign in. Because cold reading really just means you're getting the script that day. You don't want the reading to be so cold that you have to look down the entire time and hardly know the script. Cold reading is getting that script in as short a time as possible, getting familiarized with it so that when you do go in, you can knock it out. So that's the one. Okay, let's go on to number 8. Now, these are all the things outside before you go into the audition. Now we're moving inside the audition. Now you're going inside. Cast director greets you. Do not shake hands unless they want to shake hands. Oh, what's up with you? I don't shake my hand. No. Think about it. They're shaking 50 to 100 hands. If they're shaking hands, how many people are they seeing in that one day? How many people have or have not washed their hands, have germs, whatever? That's what they're worried about. They're not worried about your personality and will you be offended. It's just better to greet you, say hi, how you doing? Now, I have had some, not a lot, that will actually greet you, stand up and put their hand out. And if they put their hand out, don't go, no, I can't touch you because the books say don't touch you. No. Be flexible. Remember, we're actors. Be flexible. If the man or woman puts their hand out to greet you, shake their hand. And if you have a problem with that, keep some sanitizer in your pocket when you do the audition. Sanitize your hands, because that's why they're doing it. And so I encourage you, do not go to shake their hands. Just greet them nicely, and that'll be that. Okay, let's see. Now, move to number 9. If you go into the room, let's say you're prepping for a scene that is pretty dramatic and is either tearful, angry, any of the heavy emotions. You're all ready to go, and you walk in the audition, and the casting director wants to talk. Hey, how you doing? What you been into? Yeah, tell me about your blah 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 blah. And you're going, well, you shut up. I'm in my preparation. I'm ready to go. But you can't say that. So you've got to entertain their questions while trying to hold on to your prep. This is one of the hardest combinations of things to do. Now, a lot of casting directors have learned and recognized, don't do that conversation in the beginning. At least if they do, just say, how you doing? Good to see you again. Are you ready? And let you go, because they know you've been out there prepping. Especially the ones who know the whole thing about, if the casting director has a lot of influences or connection with actors to know actors are preparing, they're not going to do a lot of talking. Some do, most don't, because they're respecting that. So, but I'm just letting you understand, if you do get a casting director who wants to do a lot of jovial talking before a heavy scene, you're kind of smiling. But for me, what I would do when I do it is I'm not frowning, but I'm kind of frowning. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes, it's really good to see you. So it's almost like a Jack Nicholson face Joker, where I'm trying to hold on to my prep. As long as my eyebrows stay kind of serious, my mouth can smile, but in my mind, as long as I've got something on my face that's reminding me of what I'm about to do, that keeps me close to when they say, okay, you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Now, it's okay to say, okay, give me a few seconds. Now, you have the right to say, give me a few seconds. If they got you all jovial because they're laughing and joking, just give me a moment to get back into it, and then you're ready, and then you start. See, your performance is being judged in this audition. When conditions come up that throw your focus off, you have a right to say that, and you want to bring yourself back to your most ready position to go and do that thing. Okay, let's go to number 10. Now, while you're outside before you come in, one of the things you want to make sure you've done with the character in your sides that you're auditioning for is that you've made some definite choices about who your character is. One of the worst things that can kill you casting-wise is if you just go in and delivering lines, haven't really thought about who you are, where you're coming from, where you're going, is this person a mother, father, blue-collar worker. If you've not made any committed decisions whatsoever as to who you are, then that's going to come through your performance next to somebody who has made those decisions. So you want to make sure you make decisions about the character as much as you can. This is based on your own knowledge. Some of the knowledge is actually in the sides that you get. You might see the exposition describing some things about the character. Sometimes it's just dialogue and you have no idea what the situation is. So you just go and create whatever it is you want. See, the casting director respects the fact that you took the time to make a decision. Now, if it's a wrong decision, they'll go, you know what? That was pretty good. That wasn't really the choice I wanted, but that was pretty good. Now let's try it this way. Now they give you the correction to do it again the way they want to see it. But they did respect the fact that you came in there with a choice of doing something based on what it is without direction. Now sometimes they'll actually say, have any questions? Doors wide open. If you have questions and you don't understand, well, is this taking place at night, or is this just before a funeral? You have the right to ask all kind of questions like that when there's a lot of vagueness and they ask you, do you have any questions? Take advantage of that. Let's move on now to number 11. Now 11 is memorize the first and last lines of the script or sides that you're about to audition with. Reason being, let's say the sides are kind of long, but you're not really that familiar with exactly all of it. But if you start out, eyes on the camera or eyes whoever you're talking to, you got that opening line down, that's the first impression. And then you have to look down as much as you have to, but try to keep your eyes as much as you can because they're looking for the expressions and emotions that you're committing with. So try to stay as connected, looking up as you can. Look down when you only have to. And if you also have the line, the last line memorized, so you ended with a good impression. So the whole point being that the first impression is to memorize the first line, last impression, memorize the last line. And sometimes if they keep that camera running and don't say cut right after it, throw a little tagline in. A tagline is just one more line that is your line, that is in the realm of what you've just done. If it's like you're really upset and you said I'm tired. I'm just tired of you, and don't do that again. Now, so let's say the last line was I'm tired of you, but they didn't say cut. Then you have the time to throw another tagline in. Two things. They might like that fact that you did that. They might like the line. They might like the fact that you actually threw a tagline in. You never know, but these are the things that happen in the audition that feel free because they like to see you have fun, which makes them have fun and have more confidence in you as an actor that they'll cast, because they see that you may be a pretty seasoned person because you're having fun in the audition, and that's the way it works with that. Okay, now, number 12. Don't bury your head in the script. Look up as much as possible. Now, I just kind of covered that on the first line, last line. This, even if it's a cold read, remember I said cold reading, if you're outside and you took the time to familiarize yourself with the script, that first line, last line technique really does work if you want to really hone getting their attention to know that it's a cold reading, but they know it's an audition. So by the fact that you have opened with a line being very familiar and ended, as long as you can get your face up as much as you can for them to see your emotions during that scene, that's going to help them see what you can bring to the role as an actor. Okay? Number 13. Stay connected in the scene emotionally, even as the person reading the scene with you is speaking. See, some actors will, after they've said their line, when the reader is reading the other character's line, the face goes completely blank until they start talking again. No, if you're in conversation, you're still on camera. So if the person reading the other lines off camera is saying something to you that is, say, for example, if it's insulting, I should see your face register being insulted while you're listening, so that when you come up with your line, you're still connected. So the whole point is staying connected to the scene, whether you're talking or not. And that's what happens in a real scene. If you're filming, you don't suddenly go blank when the other person is talking, because if they're doing your close-up, they're catching you talking and your response to the other person talking all in your close-up. And sometimes, if your expression is interesting enough, you'll get a little more camera time because your listening is so powerful that they want to catch that. I want to catch that expression he's got on his face while she said that to him. And so those are ways of actually getting more camera time the more you stay connected to the scene, audition or performance. See, the things I'm sharing with you, of course we're talking about audition now, but these things are things even in performance you want to keep in mind. Number 14. Avoid props that can be distracting. Now, let's say you have a scene where you're on the cell phone in the scene. Now, a lot of actors will like to say, I got a cell phone, I'll just be cool, pull out my whatever the latest phone is. Now, even though that could be a good idea, sometimes the adrenaline starts flowing, and I've had casting directors tell me the person pulled out their phone and the phone went flying across the room. Then the casting director's worried about, did you destroy your expensive phone trying to do the audition? Now they're worried about your phone more than the audition. Forgot about your audition, and you're not cast because they don't remember your audition because they're worried about your phone. So it's okay if you got the phone, use the old thumb and finger. Yeah, how you doing? Or flip it open and put it up. You know, all these things are just mime the phone, because they know in the actual scene you'll have a real phone. The whole point is, what are you doing emotionally with the scene? All this other stuff comes later. The props are just icing on the cake. Your emotions and what you're doing in the scene is what makes the scene come to life, and that's what they're most important with. Number 15, if you mime physical action in the scene, don't forget the reality you create. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, most scenes start with you pretty much either in a chair or you standing up and you start the scene. But say some scenes have you, okay, this scene takes place in an airplane, and you're coming in and you're sitting down and you're talking to the stewardess. Well, now some people will come in, they establish the seat as being on the left, They sit down and they're talking. And throughout the scene, all of a sudden, the owl moves from this side to this side. Now, the stewardess that they were talking to in the beginning of the scene, instead of being on their right, is now on their left, because as the scene progressed, they didn't really lock down the space that they were creating. So as a result, the plane kind of rotated during the audition, because now the stewardess is on your left, unless you got a jet plane that has one seat and 2 hours on both sides. But my point is, once you create a reality, the person sees that creation of your reality and they buy into it. It's just like abstract theater. If I tell you I've got a glass in my hand, you see the glass, and if I go to drink the glass, then you see, you buy you figure this is a glass because of the way my hands are. If I go from here to here, whoa, what happened to the glass? Because I didn't put the glass down. I went from glass to face, which means what happened, the glass vanishes and I go to face. So same thing, when you create whatever the reality is you create in the audition, don't let it change. And this is a minor thing, because say somebody comes in to audition behind you and their reality stays as consistent as their audition. You had a good audition, but your reality changed. When they're looking at two people who are exactly equally in talent, it comes down to who gave the best presentation in that audition, and in that case, who had the best reality that stayed consistent might get cast. So these are like very minute things I want you to keep in mind that can affect what's going on in the room when you're auditioning. Let's continue on. Number 16. Make definite emotional choices during the scene. Now, just like earlier when I said decide who you are, all the things about your character, who it is. You know, if you can tell by the lines and the dialogue that it's an argument, or is it a disagreement, or is it just someone begging for attention, once you've decided what's going on in the scene, you've got to attach emotions to that. So if it is somebody who's begging to go to a concert, then you should see desperation, or I've got to go out, please, restlessness. I mean, you got to add these things to it, because if you just, I gotta go, I really gotta go, please let me go. I'm going, okay, yeah, I hear that, but I don't see any of the emotions in this person's face. And if the camera is right here, everything that's in your face is very important. If you don't show it in your face, you're not gonna get cast, because that's where we see the emotion in your face. So if you're gonna be restless, have the restlessness in your lines. You know, you don't understand. I gotta go to this concert. I've got to go to this concert, please. Yeah, I know. I promise. I'll wash the dishes later. I'll wash the car. I'll do whatever you want. Please, I just gotta go. Now, that adds the urgency to it. That changes your performance from being boring to exciting, because you brought emotion to your performance. And that's what you want to do, because that's why once you've decided to attach emotions to your scenes. Now, same with what you're speaking, attach emotions to what the person is saying back to you. Remember, it's a ping pong game. You're emotional about what you're saying, but you're also emotional about what you hear. If the person off camera is speaking something to you, react to it, because in reality, we react to whatever we hear, whether it's, even if it's boring, we got an expression for everything we hear. If you go completely blank, it looks like you turn to a robot during the scene, and your face goes, and then you go back. No, don't have any deadpans during your scene. Stay connected. Okay, let's continue on. Number 18. Don't apologize for any bad take. Let's say you did a take, and you know it's a bad take. Sometimes casting director knows it's a bad take, and they'll say, let's do that again because you bobbled a little bit. So now, in that case, you see, you don't have to apologize, because they know it's a bad take. Now, let's say they don't say, let's do it again. You can say, I'm sorry, can we do that one more time? So remember, see, if a casting director does not say that, they may assume that the take you just gave them is the best you can do, even if it sucks. So some of them will take the time to say, you know what, let's do it again, because that means they like what you did, but you may have bobbled a few lines. So let's do it again one more time. And that gives you a chance to do it again. If they do not say, let's do it again, and you feel that you have a better take in you and want to really do it one more time, you can just say, excuse me, he'll do it just one more time. Oh, okay, well, yeah, okay, one more time, yeah, let's do it. And they'll have it, because remember, a casting director has to bring in the best people. If that take you just say, can I do one more time, ends up being the bomb and ends up getting you cast, then that's the kudos for them, because they're expected to bring in the best actors and actresses to do the best job. And so that's why you don't worry about that. You just go do your thing and what you have to do. Number 19, always project your voice even when emotional. Now, one of the challenges is with film, unlike stage. Now, stage, of course, you have to project the whole time, because the people even in the back row have to be able to hear you. But what people sometimes think is, because the camera's right here, well, the camera can hear me, so I don't really have to project. And they'll let their voice drop. And as close as I am to the camera right now, they'll go, oh man, I wish I could do that. Now, I'm almost whispering, expecting, well, this is film, I don't have to project. Even the sound man sometimes will come up and say, you know what, I need you to project just a little bit more. That's even with a mic over your head, or even with a body mic on, because depending on where the body mic is, you still cannot whisper in reality. That's why we say use your stage whisper. Even a stage whisper can be heard. Now, what I just did is a stage whisper. I'm forcing air behind the whisper so that you can still hear it and it's louder, but the quality of my voice is what makes it sound like a whisper. But see, that still keeps you audible, so that when you do a nice powerful emotion, we don't lose the line. Because the worst thing you'd have is this great emotion and nobody can hear what you just said, because you got so internal that your voice dropped and nobody can hear what you just said. That's why you want to still project either way. Number 20. Practice facial expressions in the mirror or on a video camera or on your phone today. What you want to make sure you want to make sure is the facial expressions that you have are actually reading the way you think they're reading. Now, some people are very expressive in reality. Your faces, you know, if you're a really expressive person in reality, then pretty much that your face is going to be able to be really understood, because everybody can hear your face and hear your face. Everybody can see that your face is very expressive, and they can read everything you're doing. But sometimes you might do an expression, and one of the ones I'm always talking about in class is the grimace in pain. Now, some people, you got the grimace like this, and then you got this grimace, this. Now, on some people's face, this looks like they're smiling. Now, depending on what their eyes are doing, this kind of grimace can be as perfect in emotion as far as intensity, but their face just looks comical because that particular choice of grimace doesn't work on that face. And so it's usually the director's job to pick that up, or the acting instructor, to let you know what, I could feel the pain, but I didn't see it because your face looked like you're smiling. That means you have to make another choice for what that emotion is on your face, so that people watching your performance will definitely understand that's pain, and they see the pain in your face. Now, sometimes you just simply go look at yourself in the mirror, or if you're paranoid about the mirror, turn the camera on and just do different expressions and different emotions. Then play it back and see if the motion that you want is actually what you see on camera. And that will let you know when it's time to do the different emotions, that your face is matching what you're feeling. That's the worst thing that could be, is after you've done an excellent performance, you felt it all the way through, and then somebody goes like, yeah, I felt it, but I didn't see that. And you, what do you mean you didn't see that? I gave you an award-winning performance and you didn't see it? Well, they felt it, but your face didn't say it. If they don't see it on your face, they don't feel it like you feel. They hear it, but the way they feel it is seeing it on your face combined with hearing it, And that's when you take the audience on an emotional journey, because now you've pulled them in because they see the emotion in your face, they hear the turmoil and the wrenching of your voice, and now they're crying with you, and that's how you got the audience to go with you in that particular way. Let's go now. 21, almost there. Pick up the pace. Now, a lot of times when you're doing rehearsals or even a scene, you usually hear this more in rehearsals than an audition, but every now and then you might hear it in an audition where they'll say, that was really great, I need you to pick up the pace. Now, a lot of people mistakenly think pick up the pace means talk faster. No, pick up the pace usually means when I'm doing lines with someone else, there's too much of a big gap between my last line and the next person's line. Or more importantly, if I'm the one auditioning, it's too much space between the reader's line and my line because I'm taking too much time in between. So that's why when they say, okay, that was really great, I like what you're doing, but just pick up the pace, which means close that gap, and that makes the scene move faster, and usually makes it more exciting because now, remember, it's like a ping pong game. You hit it them, you hit it back, you hit it, boom, 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 boom. That's what acting makes acting exciting, is what's thrown at you, you throw it back in the same way it's thrown to you, unless you're changing the emotion, and then that's what makes everything exciting to watch. Now, what goes hand in hand with that is, don't let, and this is number 22, don't let internal beats slow down your scene. Now, an internal beat is when somebody says something to you, it hits you emotionally. Now, that should take a split second for you to let it hit you. Like somebody insults you, you go, what do you mean by that? That little is an internal beat. Now, if you go, what do you mean by that? Well, I did like 4 or 5 internal beats, and that slows the scene down, because if somebody insults you, what do you mean by that? The realistic time it takes to you to hear something, react in reality, say something in response, that's really about the speed an internal beat should be. Sometimes we want to get dramatic as actors and show all the stuff we know. I want to let them see my internal in conversation going on inside, and you're slowing the scene down so slow that people going, will you please pick up the pace? Now in that case, pick up the speed, because your internal beats are slowing everything down too much. That's when they do say, okay, pick everything up. I need you to speed everything up. The beats, your delivery of lines. That's now, if they say speed up your delivery of lines, that does mean you're talking too slow. Now, on the contrary, now this is a contradiction, because right now, as of the time of this taping, there's a hit show called Scandal that's on right now. Now, if you watch that show, what makes that a challenge, as all this stuff I've just been saying about pacing, is you'll see the fastest delivery of lines and the fastest pace as far as picking up cues, to the point where you go like, nobody talks like this in reality. And that's true. Nobody usually responds. If you watch the show and you see how fast the actors respond to each other without any internal beat hitting them, the internal beat hits them so fast and they respond back with a line so well delivered that you go like, that sounds like they knew what they were going to say, which is, of course, they did, because they memorized lines. But now, even though that speed of talking and pace of talking is not normal to reality, if that's the style of the show, you've got to be able to accomplish that pace and that speed. How do you do that? You've got, first of all, to deliver your lines really crisply and really quickly and still not sound like you're forced. Then you've got to know the lines so well. And that's like a perfect example is when we do like speed throughs. Those who don't know what a speed through is, once you've learned the script as a cast, you sit down, go through all the lines as fast as you can, just to make sure you know the lines. So if you can do the lines as fast as you can, that means you really know the line. If you're doing a speed through and you kind of stammer or you stutter or you stop for a second, that means a particular line you weren't really familiar with, and that's why you stammered. Now, that's a speed through. You almost have to have a speed through mentality if you get a show like Scandal or any of the shows where the pace is really moving. That's how well you got to know the show. Excuse me, how well you got to know the script, so that when you're going back and forth, you can deliver that quickly and be in the style. So that's how you make adjustments to shows that have been stylized to be a certain way. Now, like I said, that's not the normal pace that people talk, but if that's the style of the show, you're going to have to figure out how to make that work if you want to be on that show. Okay, oh, good, last few here. Now this one is, remember, the audition should be fun, not stressful. Now, I said that earlier. You know, we all are auditioning for all the different types of parts that we'd like to have, and what makes it overwhelming sometimes is either the show is really important or the part can pay a lot of money. See, if you start thinking about money, you get a big role and you're thinking about all the bills you can pay off with this role. For me, that was almost like, don't hire, don't hire, don't hire. Because I've never gotten a role that was large when I thought about how much money this role could pay. I don't know what it is. It's something unspoken, because it must be projected somehow, because the roles I've gotten that have paid well, that were nice size roles, I was so excited about the role, not the money it was going to pay, that I'm sure that had something to do with it. So I'm just trying to let you understand that every audition, look at it as, man, my opportunity to show what I can do. Focus on, let it be the opportunity to show what I can do, because that's the key to getting larger roles, more roles, being a regular show, recurring roles, is letting the casting directors see what you can do. If you don't get cast in this show, casting directors cast a lot of projects. Once they like what you do, they like your work, then they remember you, call you back for other things. That's the key to being called in regularly for different types of auditions, because the casting director feels comfortable knowing that whatever it is you're going to do, they know you're going to bring it, because you're very serious about your craft, and whatever you audition for, you throw down. So that's basically the key for that. And almost last two, obviously, going back to acting 101, no gum chewing when you're auditioning, please. Chew your gum outside. When it's time to go in, throw it out. Don't try to pack the gum in your jaw, pack it behind your tongue, because at some point that gum is going to want to star in your scene. Come out, roll around in your mouth, you start stammering a little bit, and now it looks unprofessional in front of the casting director, who's going, who is this bringing gum into the audition? I thought they were professional. No, so don't even get tempted. If you've got gum in your mouth, take it out for the audition, put a new stick in when you're done, and you've made your professional impression. And lastly, not least, the most important thing of all times, be on time. Be on time. Be on time. Now, if you cannot be on time, please call. See, one of the things that both casting people, agents, managers get most upset with is actors actually. Now, I've had casting directors tell me I have more people who just didn't show up. Didn't show up. As hard as it is to get an audition, they don't show up and don't call. You can almost be guaranteed you won't be called again, if that's your reputation as far as professionalism. If you're running behind schedule, you call your agent, you know, I'm stuck in traffic, or my last audition was running late, and they'll call ahead to say, it's okay for this person to still come because they're running behind schedule. And they'll tell you, just go ahead. Because one time, I was at a project that ran over an hour late, and I actually got overtime with this audition. And I called up the agent, and my agent said, well, you know, just go for it, see what's going on. I get to the audition that I was late for over an hour. They had camera problems for an entire hour and were just starting when I walked in the door. So as far as the auditions were concerned, I was on time, even though by the clock I was an hour late, but didn't know they were having camera problems. That's why when you call ahead, you never know. As long as, see, what's being respected is the fact that you as a professional took the time to call the agent, to tell them you're running late, who will call them. Now, if they're done, they'll say, you know, and just say, well, you know, they really want to see me, they'll call me again. And because they got a good reason to call you again, You're late because you were coming from another engagement and you called to say you were running behind schedule and you just missed that one. If you don't call, it looks like you didn't show up. If you didn't show up, that's unprofessional, and they do not like to call in unprofessional people. So these are, there's a lot more than 25, but these are the first top 25 that came to mind as far as wanting to share with you as kind of a buffer, not just for newcomers, but those of us who've been in the business for a while, to just kind of keep in mind, have I gotten lazy? Because sometimes I have to check myself and go, you know what, I've been doing this for so many years now that, you know what, I got to make sure I don't get lazy here or lazy there, and stay on top of it. And these are the rules for all of us in the business, from beginners to advanced, to keep in mind when we want to get cast in these different projects we're auditioning for. Hey, I want to thank you so much for staying tuned for the 25 things that can make or break an audition. So I'll be putting out some more. We'll be starting a series of tongue twisters, which is coming up soon, how to improve your diction, because if they can't understand what you're saying, you need to work on your diction and make sure you can be understood. So I have a series of 6 tongue twister episodes, very short, for you to turn on and just do them with me until you know them by memory. I have an email if you want to ask me to send them to you, because tongue twisters are not about speed. It's about waking your mouth up so that when it's time to act, you can throw down and not worry about your mouth being lazy and people not understanding what you're saying. Okay? So hey, I'll be seeing you next time, and thank you so much for tuning in to Breaking Down the Barriers. My name is Fitz Houston. I'll see you on the next time. Take care.